Nice job, Santa. Well done. Overnight, all gifts delivered, ready to roll. A lot on the line here. 2 games, of course, coming up on this Christmas Day to wrap up Week 16. This is the one that matters in the AFC, where New England, Jacksonville, and Kansas City join Pittsburgh now as division champs. Steelers win. They are the bye team along with New England. If they lose and are upset, then the Patriots tonight would be the #1 seed to lock in home field throughout the playoffs. Mike Tomlin back to the playoffs again, never below 500 in his first 11 seasons with the Steelers. This is the first time under 500 for Bill O'Brien, his 4th year in Houston. Houston deferred. Pittsburgh receives. Ka'imi Fairbairn kicks. Juju Smith-Schuster back to receive, along with Fitzgerald Toussaint, who will take a knee, and the Steelers will start from their own 25. And here they are.
Ben Roethlisberger, Miami University.
Le'Veon Bell, Michigan State.
Roosevelt Nix, Kent State.
Juju Smith-Schuster, USC.
Martavis Bryant, Clemson University.
Justin James, Penn State.
Alejandro Villanueva, Army.
BJ Finney, Kansas State University.
Marquise Pouncey, Lakeland Senior High.
David DeCastro, Stanford.
Marcus Gilbert, Florida.
And the return of Gilbert after he was suspended for violating the league's performance-enhancing drug policy. They get their good right tackle back. You saw 3 Pro Bowlers on that front. And Ramon Foster not there. He's injured. B.J. Finney gets the start. First play, first toss, Martavis Bryant. Got a block on the edge from Villanueva and gains a dozen for the first down as the Steelers go to the air right away. So doing it all, Ben Roethlisberger. He started 198 games now, but this is his 200th overall game as the Steelers quarterback. 35 years old, couple of Super Bowl titles, and rolling along here, Kurt. Now 16 touchdown passes his last 6 games.
Well, I remember playing him when he was a young guy, and he was so much about getting out of the pocket. He's really become a complete quarterback. You see it with the numbers there. One of the best pocket passers in the National Football League.
Does it on first down, empty backfield. Roethlisberger keeps it alive for Vance McDonald, his tight end, and a gain of 13 to midfield. So 25 yards in 2 plays and 2 first downs for Pittsburgh.
And you see great protection first. They've been great all year long, even with some mixing and matching up front at protecting Ben. You see the pump to the right, looking back, and then just the flip of the wrist. He's so good at using his body and that strong arm to just flip the ball, get it to his receiver, and he's so good at buying time inside the pocket, Mike.
And he is really excited about Vance McDonald. Let's watch today, see how often the Steelers have 2 tight ends on the field. McDonald's been in and out of the lineup with injury this year, but Ben thinks if he's good, they can be really good when it counts. From the 49, on cue, McDonald, the former Rice Owl, back in Houston. 20 yards there, and the Steelers are walking it down the field on this opening drive.
And we've already seen it twice where they're going to put Le'Veon Bell all the way to the outside and create a mismatch with McDonald and a linebacker on the outside. Cushing is going to chase. He's going to chase Le'Veon Bell right here, and you see, and opens up Vance McDonald to the flat for a big play on an easy throw.
They call this their Detroit set. 2 tight ends in. The give to Bell. The hesitation. The hole opens. And Bell gets 11 for a first down. And McDonald, who caught the last 2 passes, blocks on that one for Bell.
And you just love the running style of Le'Veon Bell, especially if you're a fan watching. The patience that he has. You're going to see the bounce, little skip, wait for that hole to open, and then once it opens, boom, he's going to run right through it.
Funny, if your team at home can't run, you go, how does he wait that long? Our guys lose 2-3 yards. So Bell waits, the hole's open, because the offensive line's special, and so is he. On 1st and 10, here comes Bell, stumbles to the left, regains his footing, but is chased down. Gain of about a yard. Kareem Jackson joins Bernardrick McKinney on that Texans defense with the stop.
And you talk about that patience. It's good when it works. Talking to Todd Haley, he said Coach Munchak, the offensive line coach, gets frustrated sometimes because he's too patient. Sometimes the hole opens and he's bouncing back there and misses it. So it's that frustration of trying to figure out the balance of when to be patient and when to be aggressive and just hit the first hole you see.
Haley, some of the other coaches wearing those 50 t-shirts, thinking of Ryan Shazier, the injured teammate who continues his rehab. Watching in Pittsburgh today. 2nd and 9, Bell. Nothing open. And just crawls forward for a yard or so. It'll be 3rd down. Angelo Blackson in on the stop. Of course, this Houston defense, we know they don't have the face of the franchise, J.J. Watt, who got injured in October. Same true with another very good player, Whitney Mercilus. So Mike Vrabel, a former Steeler, defensive coordinator for the first time this year, he's had to put a lot of pieces together this year.
And he said this is when you have to do your coaching, is when you don't have those players and you got to move a lot of guys around. It's really when you have to put in your work. So he tries to move a lot of guys around. As you mentioned, Clowney moving him around to try to create some positive things for this defense, especially up front.
J.J. watching with his mom and dad, his brother who plays for the Steelers on defense. 3rd and 8, Roethlisberger could not convert, trying to get Eli Rogers crossing underneath. So after moving the ball easily downfield, the Texans defense comes up with a stop in the red zone and a field goal attempt ahead.
And right on cue, Clowney, they love to move him around and allow him to create quick pressure as he does right there, forcing Big Ben to step up in the pocket a little bit. See the grab of the arm there, couldn't finish the throw and make an accurate throw to Le'Veon.
It's the best guy they still have on defense in Clowney. So here is the Pro Bowl AFC kicker, Chris Boswell, having an outstanding season from 34 yards. He knocks it through. An opening drive field goal for the Steelers against Bill O'Brien's team on this Christmas Day in Houston. Season 16 here in what's now known as NRG Stadium, right next to the old Astrodome. Pittsburgh Steelers used to play the Oilers, some great rivalry games in that Astrodome back in the day, now playing the Texans, and they will get to see one of the many Texans quarterbacks over the last few years. Their 3rd different one this year, T.J. Yates, the 30-year-old, will step on the field after the Boswell kick to Jordan Todman. Going to bring it out from the goal line. Todman across the 25, he'll slide forward and down at the 28. We have our first flag of this Christmas Day game, and Bill Vinovich is our referee. And back it up. You hear that? Means it's going back the other way.
Holding. Receiving team number 52. 10-yard penalty for spot of the foul. First down.
It's on Brian Peters, the linebacker. So T.J. Yates, I mentioned he's 30 years old. He went to college at North Carolina. This is his 3rd time around with Houston. He actually won the franchise's first playoff game when he was a rookie, 5th round pick in 2011. He was here for a couple of games 2 years ago, 2015. Started this year in Buffalo. Couple for the season started. First half of the season, he was He was home watching ball on his couch. Son, when Deshaun Watson got hurt. Tom Savage gets hurt 2 weeks ago. There's T.J. Yates on Christmas Day starting against the Steelers. After the penalty from the 15, it's low. It's incomplete, intended for Will Fuller, his wide receiver.
I thought you were saying he was me, and you were taking me back 18 years that I was sitting watching, just waiting for that phone call. But amazing, 6 weeks ago, really no team, one call, and now here he is starting on Christmas Day.
And such an interesting story, too, for those 8 weeks after he was cut by Buffalo at the 53-man cutdown September. He's watching games on TV, trying to watch them like you all look at film, see what the safeties are seeing. It's just so hard to do. So he's trying to stay relevant and ready. Lamar Miller, the carry. He'll only gain 2 yards. Bud Dupree, the linebacker, the tackle. Here is the rest of the offense for Houston.
T.J. Yates, North Carolina.
Lamar Miller, DU.
Jay Prosh, Auburn.
DeAndre Hopkins, Daniel High School.
Will Fuller V, Notre Dame.
Stephen Anderson, Cal.
Julian Davenport, Bucknell.
Xavier Suafilo, UCLA.
Greg Manns, University of Toledo.
Chad Slade, Auburn.
Bruno Giacomini, Louisville.
And that's part of the problem for these Texans. Their offensive line's had so many different guys in there, and none of them have played very well, candidly. 3rd and 9. Steelers bring 5. Yates is sacked. Back at the 10-yard line, he goes down. The pressure from Mike Hilton, the slot corner who has really emerged on this Pittsburgh defense.
This is going to be the biggest challenge for T.J. Yates all day long, is all the different looks. You see all the guys at the line of scrimmage, no idea who's going to come. They end up bringing the 2 edge guys. As you said, Mike Hilton, a nice job dropping under the back and making the sack. But T.J. Yates to have to recognize everything that's going on. As you said, after sitting at home trying to watch film on TV, is going to be very difficult today.
Shane Lechler still doing it at age 41. 45-yard kick, no return. Eli Rogers runs up and gets it. A good field position for Big Ben and the Steelers when we come back. For Ben Roethlisberger, it is NFL game 200, the 5th Steeler to play in 200 games. Look at the history of the league, the big-name quarterbacks, Brady, Manning, then Roethlisberger. So Ben right there with those Mount Rushmore-type guys of this generation. And with a win today, he will tie Hines Ward for the most wins in Steelers history. Doesn't matter how many games you've played, but Ben can join his former teammate Hines Ward. It's really been a generation of fans who've grown up watching number 7 lead the Steelers.
Well, just an incredible player, and as you said, an incredible winner as well. Ever since he was a rookie in the league, winning football games is what he's all about, and he's learned to do it so many different ways.
One with the defense and running early on, that first Super Bowl 40 in Detroit, beating Seattle. As we've gone on, it's been Ben doing so much. Now the great supporting cast like Le'Veon Bell with that first down carry to the Houston side to the 49. Why don't we meet this Texans defense?
Carlos Watkins, CT Nation.
Brandon Dunn, Louisville.
Joel Heath, Michigan State University.
Brian Cushing, Bergen Catholic, New Jersey.
Bernardrick McKinney, Mississippi State.
Zachary Cunningham, Vanderbilt. Jadeveon Clowney, South Carolina.
Jonathan Joseph, South Carolina.
Marcus Gilchrist, Clemson University.
Andre Howell, Vanderbilt.
Kareem Jackson, Alabama.
And 2nd and 5 against that defense. Bell looking for space, middle clogged up there. It'll be Bernardrick McKinney, one of the steady guys in there. Starter all year, one of those inside linebacker spots. Gain of a couple, 3rd and 3 coming up.
They've had a lot of guys play really well defensively for them, but it's just hard when you don't have those difference-making players. We talk about J.J. Watt a lot, Whitney Merciless, another guy. Those guys that can change the complexion, create quick pressure for a defense, but they've had some good young guys that have stepped up that they're excited about for the future.
See 1 back, 1 tight end, and 3 receivers. But the back and the tight end are terrific pass catchers as well. Roethlisberger has 5 options. He's going to take the shot downfield. Bryant broke free. Feet in bounds. Martavis is ruled a catch into the red zone at the 11-yard line. Gain of 35.
This is really what Martavis does so well, is these go routes. He's big, he's tall, he's got great speed. Gets pushed a little bit to the sideline. A great job catching it over his outside shoulder. Just a matter of whether he got both feet.
Drag the left one. Drag the left one. You see the rubber pellets come up. Andre Howell was pointing to the official. Go look at the board. Tomlin's telling Roethlisberger, get up there to the line of scrimmage. But on that replay, you saw the left foot drag with the rubber pellets. Houston side not challenging. Roethlisberger firing. It's complete. And Eli Rogers will take it out to the 5-yard line. A gain of 6.
It'll be huge if they can get Martavis Bryant going. Early in the year, you know, there were some things said by him because Juju Schuster was getting some more reps. But now with AB out, they think they can feature him a little bit. If they get confidence in him with the way Juju's playing and they get AB back in the playoffs, this offense could be even more dangerous.
Trying to replace a special player in Antonio Bryant, who has the partially torn left calf muscle, really described as less of a tear and more of a bruise by the Steelers. Roethlisberger throws for McDonald, incomplete. And we'll have 3rd down coming up, coverage by Marcus Gilchrist. And when you take a guy like Brown, 8 100-yard games, he's really won a few games for the Steelers with his pressure-late catches. It'd be interesting to watch how much Ben distributes the ball to the open guy and doesn't force it to AB all the time.
It's interesting you say that because aren't quarterbacks supposed to go through their progressions and throw it to the open guy? But he's got such great confidence in Antonio Bryant that he will look at him even in situations where, in most situations, a quarterback probably shouldn't look at him.
So Justin Hunter, one of those in there for Antonio Brown. 3rd and 4. Roethlisberger surveys, takes off, and throws to the end zone, and it's caught by Hunter for the touchdown. Kevin Johnson, the corner, was saying no. The ball hit the turf beforehand. Well, the official was right there, and it's Hunter with the catch and the score.
And just another great job by the offensive line to buy time for Big Ben. But you see the route right here. They'll move to the inside stick and pivot to the outside. Great job coming back to the football and cutting off the defensive back there for the catch.
And didn't even come close to the ground. So Hunter, who is an all-world practice player, he was described as earlier this week, a guy who was a big part of Tennessee's passing game for 3 years and struggled to find a spot last year with Miami and Buffalo, has mostly been inactive for the Steelers this year. But the Brown injury, next man up's the term. That next man caught a touchdown. Extra point added by Boswell. First touchdown catch this year for a new contributor for the Steelers in the end zone, Justin Hunter. 10-0 Pittsburgh. Steelers got a bunch of awards in terms of Pro Bowl announcements. 8 Pro Bowlers on this Steelers team, including Roethlisberger with a touchdown there. Jordan Todman slips and falls, trying to crawl forwards until a Steeler touched him. They'll start the 15 against the Pittsburgh defense.
Cam Hayward, The Ohio State.
Javon Hargrave, South Carolina State. Stephon Tuitt, Notre Dame.
Bud Dupree, Kentucky.
Sean Spence, the U. Vincenzo Williams, FSU.
TJ Watt, Wisconsin.
Joe Hayden, University of Florida.
Sean Davis, Maryland.
Mike Mitchell, Ohio University.
Artie Burns, the U.
Top 10 defense points in yards and run yards and pass yards allowed. First down, see the guy on the wing on the left, that's 77, David Quessenberry. The cancer survivor Heather told you about before kickoff, making his NFL debut here, and he blocked TJ Watt and gave some space for Lamar Miller to run to the outside and get a first down and a gain of 11 yards. Not great for Quessenberry.
But such a great story, as you said, right here on the edge, coming down, blocking, sealing the edge for Lamar Miller. Nice patience of bouncing to the outside. But what a great story that for so long, just wondering, what his life was going to be like dealing with cancer, and then to come back and be starting on Christmas Day. Just an incredible story, man.
Bill O'Brien said it very simply. Incredible. It really is. Good block there. Gets the Texans their first down. And here is Miller with the carry. Lamar Miller, who went to the University of Miami, then played for the Dolphins for the first part of his NFL career. Now in his second season with the Texans, he and Alfred Blue will share the running back duties for this team here today.
Nothing could help a young quarterback that hasn't played a lot in a couple years than getting this run game going a little bit. A couple nice little runs to start it out, take the pressure off of TJ Yates from having to make every throw to move the football down the field.
First down pickup of 5, and Yates looking Hopkins' way. He was covered, and Yates will be brought down by Cam Hayward. The loss of a yard, if they rule it a sack, it will be his career high, extending 11th of the season.
You're going to see Hop right here, just running a deep curl route, and eyes from TJ Yates are on him the whole time. But as you see, Sean Spence drops underneath it right there. No time to be able to get to a second and third read, and Cam Hayward has been a beast on the inside, not just stopping the run, but getting after the passer as well.
11 sacks, didn't make the Pro Bowl. He's at a very talent-laden position in the AFC as interior defensive lineman, but what a year he's had. Hard count, and we have movement. It was TJ Watt who took off on the edge. We'll see if it's on the Steelers' rookie end, linebacker really, outside linebacker.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 90. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
So I'll make it 3rd and 1. That's big brother clapping because little brother made a mistake. You gotta love it.
You know you're gonna have a little of that today, right? We're brothers at all times unless we're going against each other, and little smile there knowing that, hey, today I gotta cheer against him.
Well, the schedule was out, and then we saw this was Christmas Day, and they exchanged via social media and, of course, personally with text, the anticipation of sharing the field as pros for the first time. Of course, J.J. Hurt, 3rd and 1, and the run for Alfred Blue is much more than the 1. Good, powerful run for Blue out to the 47-yard line, and the Texans get their second first down of this drive.
They get another nice run, doing a nice job of owning the line of scrimmage. A couple big runs, not putting it on TJ Yates, but nice cut there by Alfred Blue to cut back to the inside. And there's Quessenberry again, doing a nice job. And you know, it was a feel-good story, Mike, But Coach O'Brien made sure that he pointed out to us, he's going to be on the field because he can help us, not just because it's a feel-good story on Christmas.
And they need him too. All the injuries they've had up front, injuries to the tight end. Safety's blitzing, Blue is running. It's only going to be a gain of about 2 yards. Well, we saw J.J. Watt upstairs, T.J. Watt on the field. J.J. came down before the game to come see his little brother. They got together for Christmas dinner at J.J.'s place last night, and what a great opportunity. Yeah, I can warm you up a little bit here, little bro.
Well, how many years after Christmas or on Christmas did those two go out and play catch or play a little tackle game in the front yard? So that was great to see. Got a chance to say hello to both of them before the game.
So mom and dad there as well. 2nd and 8. Yates, ooh, look out. He was looking for Hopkins, but Joe Hayden was waiting, and he was there. He was incomplete. Of course, there's a third brother, Derek, who's playing for the Los Angeles Chargers. Actually had a nice reception in the Chargers win over the Jets. So, Mom, there's no favoritism here with which kid do I love the most. She's got everyone represented, Connie, there. All 3 logos, the Chargers, the Steelers, 3 diamonds there, and the Texans all in one. They're going to be so proud.
How incredible. 3 brothers all playing in the National Football League and all really doing a great job for their teams.
Connie and John, dad, retired firefighter from Wisconsin, enjoying their family on Christmas. Here's Yates, shot down the field, towards Hopkins, incomplete. Hopkins usually brings anything he can get his hands on in, but just couldn't reach that as Joe Hayden, back in the Steeler lineup, was covering.
And you're trying to find DeAndre Hopkins in a one-on-one situation, safety moving to the middle of the field, just an inside fade, just a little bit out of his reach as he's trying to hold off Joe Hayden. But that's what you're going to see all day long. You get him one-on-one, T.J. Yates is going to look at him and try to force the ball to him because they know he's their big playmaker.
Hayden fractured a fibula the Indianapolis game against the Colts. He's missed 5 games, back and starting for this Steeler defense. Leckler kicked it. Eli Rogers will fair catch it back at the 8-yard line. 44 on the kick. Long field for the Steelers, who so far have been so good. 2 possessions and 2 scores for Pittsburgh. Mike Tirico, Kurt Warner, Heather Cox. Merry Christmas from Houston. Steelers, 2 drives, 2 scores. Lead 10-0. And the first down run takes it to the 10-yard line with Le'Veon Bell. Guy runs it and runs for yards more than anybody else in terms of running backs in the league this year.
And not the start that the Houston Texans wanted. I mean, you think back to Deshaun Watson was playing, they were scoring a bunch of points. When he hasn't played, they've only scored over 17 points 1 time. So they didn't want this to be a shootout. Big drive here. Defense needs to come up with a big stop.
And Bill O'Brien knows this offense is challenged. Saw it last week in the loss at Jacksonville against their good defense. Here's another good defense. Along with the explosive Steeler offense. Back to Bell. Not much there. The waiting arms of Kevin Johnson on the corner. Gain him only a yard. We'll have 3rd down coming up.
Not much there, but you see the physicality of Le'Veon Bell. He do so many different things. The patience, he's got the explosion, but he's also got the ability to use his pads. And you see right there at the end, he's not going to finish backwards very often. That he's going to make sure that the other guy's feeling the brunt of it every time he runs.
Johnson at 6 foot 190 needed reinforcement. Joel Heath brought that. This Houston defense has given up a lot of points, but they've been good on 3rd downs this year. 5th in the league. A little disguise there, Kareem Jackson. He's coming. There's the pressure. Roethlisberger got rid of it. To McDonald, the tight end, holds on for the 1st down.
And Big Ben was talking about Vance McDonald in our meeting the other day, that he is such a weapon for him when he's healthy. You see him right here just running the corner route. Nice job being able to go over the under coverage and beating Joseph to the corner, but he can be such a weapon for them that they haven't had at the tight end position since Heath Miller retired.
13-yard gain on the crowded sideline. Looks like everyone over there seems to have gotten up. Tough collision there with McDonald running full speed. Hopefully everyone's okay. The 24, the quick pass is complete to Juju Smith-Schuster. And nice pursuit by the Texans defense, including Zach Cunningham. He's the rookie linebacker. They took him in the 2nd round out of Vanderbilt. And he's really developed to a nice 3-down player for Bill O'Brien's team.
The young guys had to play a lot this year, but really done some nice things. Also a great job by Kareem Jackson right here. And Mike Tomlin said he's really the key to their defense. They move him inside in the nickel. They'll blitz him, good in coverage, and he saw a great job there making that tackle.
Second and 12, four-man rush. Clowney can't get there. Roethlisberger in traffic for Juju Smith-Schuster. The Texans are pulling it away like they have a pick with Cunningham. We have no signal from the officiating crew, which was taking its time to get in there. Looks like they're going to rule it a catch. Let's see. Catch for Smith-Schuster is the ruling at the 26-yard line. Take another peek at that one.
Whole bunch of bodies in there. Not really sure what Big Ben saw there, but trying to fit it into his young wide receiver. And you see hands everywhere. One thing they love about Smith-Schuster is his strength and ability to catch balls in tight spaces just like this.
Now Smith-Schuster gets that pulled away and the ball hits the ground. That should be an incomplete pass, if anything. And the Texans just saw that replay. We'll see if they challenge it during the break. After one here in Houston, it is 10-0 Pittsburgh. We're back with more after this from your local station. Well, they were doing a little fun race on the field, and they were showing that on the big board, and then they got around on the big board here showing you the replay that we showed before break at the end of the first quarter that clearly shows Juju Smith-Schuster's hands are off it, the ball's on the ground, so it's not an interception, but it should be an incomplete pass. And as they finally showed that, right as we were showing you the aerial shot of Houston, Bill O'Brien got a look at it on the big screen here in the stadium and threw the challenge flag.
The benefit at the end of the quarter to be able to have that extra time and wait for that to go up on the big board a couple times. But pretty obvious there, as you said before the break, Mike, that ball comes out, touches the ground. They're going to reverse this one.
That's one of those interesting ones, too. If we're in Pittsburgh, where it's 22 degrees, by the way, today, so we're glad we're here. If you're in Pittsburgh, that replay is not going up on the big board. You're not seeing that. It's the advantage of playing at home, and it will be 3rd and 12, we guess.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 12 at the 22-yard line. We're going to have to go back to the first quarter. Please put 42 seconds on the game clock.
All right, so that means we're going to have to go back down to the other side of the field to run this one play. Because it's an incomplete pass, the clock should have stopped. So we'll go all the way back down here, run the one play, and perhaps go back in the other direction.
You talked earlier about how good this Houston defense has been on 3rd down, and specifically on 3rd and long. 3rd and 10 situations 35 straight times without giving up a first down. So they've been really good in those situations. They're going to find themselves in a 3rd and 12 here.
And it's interesting because they've lost their game changers in some ways, as we mentioned, obviously, with J.J. Watt. But you also have in Whitney Mercilus a player who's been a 7-sack guy the last 4 or 5 years in the league. So you had edge rushers in there with Clowney. That was the whole design here as this team was supposed to grow. And then Deshaun Watson comes in, like you said before, and wow, we've really got something. But then Watson gets hurt, Mercilus gets hurt, Watt gets hurt, and you're 4 and 10, and you've lost the last 4. And people are asking, what's Bill O'Brien's future going to be? In his 4th year, has a 5-year contract as the head coach. 3rd and 12, and there's the pressure. Ben got it out of his hands quick. Vance McDonald the catch, and he'll be stopped at the 26-yard line. So, same thing essentially happens. That's where the completion was, except it was 3rd down, so now they'll kick it away.
One of those where you're feeling good about the start of the game instead of trying to force one and take a big throw down the field. Check it down, see if you can get a free one, but feel good to punt it away because your defense is playing well.
And Jordan Berry will come in to kick it. Braxton Miller goes back to receive for the Texans. See if this gets in before the end of the first quarter. And it does not. So they, too, will walk to the other side, and we'll watch the punt at the start of the second quarter in 30 seconds. It's the 2nd consecutive year we're spending Christmas with the Steelers. Remember, last year they beat Baltimore, a dramatic 4th quarter at Heinz Field. A division-winning touchdown catch by Antonio Brown, giving Pittsburgh the victory. They went back and forth with the Ravens. And the Teams played a heck of a game on a Sunday night just a couple of weeks ago as well. In Pittsburgh, the Ravens and the Steelers have just been so dominant in this division.
That's the one where you throw out the record. It doesn't really matter. Every game is going to come down to one of the last plays or a field goal, as it did this year.
Baltimore in a situation where if they win on Sunday, they will find themselves in the playoffs. Same true with Tennessee. So we know 4 of the 6 characters in the AFC play that will play out over the couple of weekends. One of those half dozen teams will find themselves in Super Bowl 52, which of course you'll see here on NBC. Kick by Berry. Miller going to field it at the 32, and a fair catch there. So that's where the Texans offense will take over. The quarterback position, one of the many that has been a part of the ER for the Texans here. So many injuries. The same game. Watt, the tibial plateau fracture, and the aforementioned injury to Whitney Merciless, the torn pec. And then Deshaun Watson had the offense going, the excitement with him. Watson tears his ACL in practice, of all things. Just doing a very simple turn and pitch and toss. And then Tom Savage, who was the starter at the beginning of the year, the concussion. And 74 players have played for Bill O'Brien. On first down, they try to get the play going quick. Is it not marked ready for play yet? Let's see.
Ball was never put in play.
Well, that's very similar to a really odd play we saw yesterday in the Tennessee game against the Rams. Tennessee tried to sneak an onside kick in on the Rams, and the ball wasn't put into play, so they had a re-kick, and Tennessee was beside themselves. They couldn't get away with a quick one. Houston the same here.
Jay Yates thought he had a free one to Will Fuller out here. Nobody covering him, but makes sense that nobody was covering him. They haven't thrown the ball into play yet.
Crazy. Right, so a lot of stuff that keeps going backwards here. We're going to start first down again.
Alert! 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 98!
With the Steelers doing a lot of communication there. Alfred Blue runs through the confusion. There goes Blue, chased by Williams. Blue finally brought down inside the 20. Big play, much needed for the Texans against a confused Steeler defense.
You heard TJ Yates go alert, alert, alert to change where this run was going. Pressure coming from the left side. Little cut back to the right. Nice job by Alfred Blue. Good block down the field by DeAndre Hopkins. And then it's off to the races.
Joe Hayden and Vince Williams. Now, Vince Williams doing a lot of the communicating out there with Ryan Shazier out. And you saw before the play started, as you see that Hopkins block on Hayden to free the edge for Blue. You saw Williams and the other linebackers were trying to get one of the safeties down. That confusion on the field, a little bit of something to watch with Pittsburgh here down the stretch. For the 18, Blue again to the left. Chopped down that time by Hayden, and he took that hit right on the knee. A gain of 3. Here's Heather Cox.
Well, you guys were talking about those Houston injuries. Before the game, I talked to JJ about his rehab. He said he's progressed to doing anything with both feet on the ground. So things like squats, lunges, and leg press, but no jogging and no running yet. But he said soon. He said, I feel great. It's a long road, but I'm optimistic. I'm a believer that if you put positive vibes out in the world, you will get them back. Mike?
JJ and Deshaun Watson, both lower body injuries. They've been rehabbing at 6:30 in the morning every day here in Houston. Blue on the sideline. Yates, end zone shot for Hopkins. Couldn't get there. As Hayden was one more time in coverage. Flag down, back by the quarterback.
Personal foul, face mask, offense number 70. 15-yard penalty, repeat second down.
The rookie left tackle, Julian Davenport, out of Bucknell with the flag.
See TJ Watt make the inside move right here, and Davenport's hand just gets up there. You see it pulling the face mask. Easy call there for the officials.
Get many players out of Bucknell. He's the first FCS offensive lineman drafted by the Texans in the first round, in the early part of the draft, I should say, and the last Bucknell player to be taken in the draft. You have to go back to 1969 to find one of their linemen taken. So Julian Davenport, developmental player because of injuries. Now he's a starting left tackle. He's have Dwayne Brown over there. He went to Seattle via trade. Run up the middle with Miller. Lamar Miller got hit hard as he got inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. It was Cameron Hayward bringing the heat. Set up third down and more manageable.
Talked all about the changes they have up front, but really done a nice job early in this game of blocking. You see the double team creating a crease for Lamar Miller. right up the middle of the field, but doing a nice job of running the football. Now if they can just get something from T.J. Yates in the passing game.
Yates hasn't hit one. He's 0 for 3, Kurt, in this early going. Likely to the air here on 3rd and 9. Yates looking for space, going to take off, going to get the first down, yes! Diving forward, inside the 6-yard line, T.J. Yates. Got a good block from his center, too, Greg Mance to help along.
Nice recognition by T.J. Yates. Man coverage here. Safety's moving to the left-hand side. Knows there's nobody there to take care of him, so sees a little bit of crease, puts his head down, and gets the first down.
It's his 9th start in the league. Been in and out of this Texans organization a couple of times. As we said, what a playoff game for them. Rallied them against undefeated Cincinnati on a Monday night 2 years ago. From the 6, it's Braxton Miller. He's got it, trying to use the speed. To the edge, to the pylon. Ooh, did he fumble out of bounds? Let's see. They're going to mark him short. We've seen a lot of guys trying to stretch for that pylon and lose control and turn it into a touchback. Looks like it was contact and down before that at the 1.
We've seen this a few times this year where they're going to start and make it look like a jet sweep, and then he's going to stop on the snap and return back in the same direction, trying to get man-to-man coverage and get the defender to run to the other side. Great effort to try to get to the end zone. Hand goes out of bounds. Not quite there yet.
Yeah, fortunately for him, the arm is out of bounds before the ball comes out. So he was extending it, so it's a good game. Gave him about 5, and now they will go Wildcat here with Blue. Send Yates out to the top, and Blue is stopped. Good read. Still going, though. Hang on. He was not down. They run in and mark him just short. Shane Spence had him wrapped up, but Blue never had a body part touch. He kept going, and they really just short. Let's see.
Great run. Balance, goes up in the air, gets both feet back on the ground, continues to push and push. And we see where the ball ends up as his back hits the ground, but he's very close. What a great effort by Alfred Blue.
Jay Prosch, like a tow truck, pulling his guy along. So it's 3rd and goal now. Gonna throw for it here. Yates. No. Braxton Miller, the intended receiver. Interesting that they had run the ball effectively downfield, and on 3rd and goal they decided to throw it, and now they're going to go for it on 4th.
Yeah, surprised that they didn't run it there in a short yardage situation, but he got what he wanted, man-to-man coverage. Braxton Miller wins on the corner route, just a little bit overthrown there. You got to make that one. That's a throw that you have to have in a game like this.
Yates is 1 of 5 passing in the first 20 minutes of this one. Going to go out of the gun again from just a foot away. And Yates is going to throw again down here. Intercepted. Artie Burns with the pick. And not only do you not get any points, you don't leave him down at the 1. The touchback brings it out to the 20. And the noise you hear are the Steeler fans who travel as well as any fan base in the league. The ricochet pick by Burns. We'll see if it stands up. All right, here's the review of the interception, inbounds or not. Either it's Pittsburgh ball at the 1 or at their own 20.
The play, the rule on the field stands. Pittsburgh ball, first down at the 20-yard line, touchback.
Well, taking a peek at Artie Burns, who will come away with the interception here. Was he able to stay in bounds? They said stands. You watch closely the foot. Cannot tell if the foot comes down on the white there. And then for the body part, his bottom comes down before his right shoulder comes down on the chalk. So,
as you mentioned, that's a big play right there. That call, you got it on the 1-yard line as opposed to the 20.
So Burns, part of the young, talented Pittsburgh secondary, comes up with the pick, but we've got to go back to the decisions there on the drive. Steelers take over at their own 20, leading 10-0. Roethlisberger, Clowney chasing Bell, couldn't bring it in. Le'Veon Bell No whistle thrown. I assume that was a forward pass, an incomplete, but they say here for the moment, Houston ball. It's an incomplete pass, isn't it?
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Second down.
Let's go back and watch this one more time.
I don't think there's any question it was a forward pass, and probably good that he dropped it after the bobble. Otherwise, they lose a bunch of yards right there. But take your eye off it once it gets up in the air. Worried about those defenders coming at you.
Not even a question if it was a forward pass or not, so I don't know what it was. Let's go back, though, Kurt. A couple plays there where Houston had run the ball effectively down the field, and then they choose to throw it a couple of times.
Well, run it effectively, and they just had a run where, you know, Alfred Blue carried 3 guys 3 yards right down to the 1. You'd think at least one of those 2 plays they try that, especially because they haven't really done anything in the pass game. TJ Yates hasn't even completed a pass yet.
Bill O'Brien trying to be aggressive, trying to get down there and get points. And knowing you're not going to be down there often, trying to get 7. Comes away with nothing. See if the defense can help him out. Roethlisberger's going to have to check it down to Bell again. A good rookie linebacker Cunningham pursuing, and Zach knocks him out of bounds at 24, a gain of 4. And let's go back to the last play of that sequence, the interception.
They were actually looking for Steven Anderson on the inside, but you'll see that he ends up getting double teamed right here from the inside and the outside. So he goes up over the top. Actually had a shot at the throw, but leaves it a little bit behind Fuller. That one burns the opportunity to make that pick.
Well, TJ Yates may get back on the field quickly as the Steelers can convert on 3rd and 6. Rushing 4, Ben backpedals, gets it to Bell, brings it in and keeps going. It looks like he's going to get the first down with that mark. The strength of Bell to pull the safety Eddie Pleasant forward means Le'Veon and the Steelers stay on the field. First down, Pittsburgh.
And talk about the rapport with Antonio Brown and Big Ben, but he's got that same type of rapport with Le'Veon Bell out of the backfield. You see the move right here, chance to go inside or out. Stick, able to catch it with his hands on the outside, and then the ability to carry Eddie Pleasant for that first down.
Remember, this is a guy who missed training camp, the holdout, closing in on 400 touches for the year. Already 9 today. He gets a break. Stephen Ridley, the former New England Patriot, checks in, just signed by the Steelers. He runs it to the 34-yard line. Their number 2 guy was James Conner, the rookie they drafted out of the University of Pittsburgh. But Conner injured in the game last week, MCL surgery on his knee. He's on injured reserve. So they need more reserves behind Bell. They have Fitzgerald Toussaint, the 4th-year veteran. But they bring in Ridley. And Mike Tomlin was happy with what he saw from Ridley as he got him in camp there this week.
Only been there for a week, but wanted to get him some touches in game-type action because it's been a while. And they know at times they're going to have to spell Bell. Not going to take him out a lot because he does so many things well, but they're going to need somebody to take a few of those carries from him down the stretch.
2nd and 7, Bell's back in. He's running to the right. He's at the Pro Bowl center. Pouncey leading the way. And Le'Veon Bell to the Texan side. Out of bounds right around the 45-yard line. The mark at the 44 is a gain of 22. First down, Pittsburgh.
Steelers are so good at pulling. You're going to see both the center and right guard right here, Pouncey and DeCastro pulling to the outside. Seal right there. Le'Veon just following the big guy down the sideline. A nice move for a few extra yards instead of going out of bounds.
2 Pro Bowlers. Pouncey, Pro Bowler for the 6th time. DeCastro, as good a guard as there is in the league. 3rd time Pro Bowl vote for him. And they line up right next to each other, 53 and 66. Ridley is back in. He'll get the toss with Villanueva, the other Pro Bowl lineman, leading the way. The 41, a gain of 3 yards. When you have an offensive line like this that's so good, works so well together, gives Bell the time for his patience, Ben the time to survey, the confidence it gives an offense on any down and distance is extraordinary.
Well, it's unbelievable. And then you add the other playmakers on the outside as well. Antonio Brown, what he can do down the field. And Big Ben, he's already good at extending plays, but you give him time back there, he is going to make big play after big play. But Todd Haley talked about it. Best offensive line as a group that he's been around, and that's saying something, but it showed up in the Pro Bowl voting.
Sometimes that's not always the proper measure of quality. In this case, those 3 Pro Bowlers very deserving. 2nd and 6. Roethlisberger's just going to check it down and let Le'Veon do the work. Bell to the 30. Hit hard, but first down and a gain of 11 for Bell.
So players aren't the only ones that say sometimes that Pro Bowl voting can be a little bit skewed. You understand that up here as well, Mike?
Well, we do, but every Pro Bowl guy who thinks he got snubbed or it impacts a bonus for him, they're the ones to say, wait a minute, this voting's not right. Wait, if you ever really want to look at who the best were that year, you look at the All-Pro team.
Yep, no question.
That's the top two to each conference. You put one great team together. That's where you know who the best of the best are year in, year out. No disrespect to the guys who got their Pro Bowl votes. It's Christmas. We're being nice. Drive started at their own 20. 50 yards later from the 30. It'll be a loss this time. And speaking of Pro Bowlers, Jadeveon Clowney comes around to make the play. Here's Heather Cox.
Well, on Saturday, Le'Veon Bell played the role of Santa Claus and gave his O-line watches. He said, I wanted to surprise them with something rare, something special. They did such a great job for me this year. I want to keep them happy. Well, they sure were. They look like kids here, guys, on Christmas morning. And Mike, the watch is rare indeed. Only 1,000 of them in the world, and now a handful of them reside in Pittsburgh.
There you go. Not bad.
You'll do anything possible to keep those guys happy, keep them feeling good about themselves up front.
You've been a gifter before for your offensive line?
Oh, yeah. All the time. You got to come up with something for those guys.
2nd and 13. Roethlisberger firing down the middle. Incomplete. A lot of Texans back there surrounding Martavis Bryant. And Roethlisberger couldn't get it there. Ben comes up off the ground after that one. 3rd down coming up.
They're going to try to get an isolation with Bryant here on the linebacker Cunningham. I'm sorry, linebacker down the middle of the field. And you see, he just tries to force it in over the top, throws it behind him. Nice effort by Bryant, but good coverage. That one has to be up and over the linebacker in that situation.
Dylan Cole, another rookie right back there. He and Cunningham have played a lot and have played well. Cole had a pick 6 against Tennessee back on week 4. 3rd and 12, look at Clowney. He's inside in the middle, standing up. Now he's dropping in coverage. As Roethlisberger throws underneath Bryant. Can he get there? Yes, he can. 2 Texans were there. They couldn't wrap up Martavis Bryant. That 6'4" frame extends for the first down.
The Steelers have some guys that do a great job with the run after the catch. You see the big body just coming to the inside and then hit it and go vertical. Big body, stay on your feet, and then with that stretch, able to get 3 or 4 yards just on that stretch because he's so long.
That's got to frustrate Mike Vrabel as 2 starting inside linebackers, McKinney and Cunningham in position. DB coming over. 3 of them couldn't stop Bryant. Steelers back in the red zone. Good play action fake. Roethlisberger surveys. Nothing open. Extends the play. End zone shot here. Incomplete. And a flag. Eli Rogers working the back of the end zone on the secondary portion of the play, where it becomes so tough for Marcus Gilchrist and the DBs to keep up.
And we've talked about the offensive line and the time that they give Big Ben, and this is where they're so dangerous.
Defense number 21. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball replaced at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
And you'll watch right here. Watch Big Ben looking to the right, coming back to the left, looking for the double move, all the way back to his 3rd receiver. Then buy time, and you see him do this quite often. One-on-one situations, sees the back of the defender. He's just going to put the ball up in hopes that if nothing else, they get a PI.
And they do on Gilchrist, so it's a 19-yard penalty. Steelers knocking on the door. 1st and goal from the 1. Into the fullback, and Roosevelt Nix into the end zone for the touchdown.
Big fella doesn't get a lot of touches, so nice to be able to, we talked about giving some love to the offensive lineman. Nothing better than giving it to the fullback right behind those big guys and getting into the end zone.
5 carries on the year for Nix before that one. 3rd-year man out of Kent State. Able to pound it through. You just see from the reaction from the Steelers, when guys like that get their moment, they love to share it.
Oh yeah, offensive linemen and fullbacks are a different breed. They love to have those moments.
Time Boswell for the extra point. And flag is down at the end of that. Check it. Conversation with Bill Vinovich's crew.
Personal foul. Defense number 92. Hit on the defensive receiver. Excuse me, the center. 15-yard penalty on the kickoff. Timeout.
It's on Brandon Dunn. They gave that long snapper coverage and protection. He hit Cameron Canaday, so it'll cost him on the kickoff. Knicks the touchdown. After the Yates interception in the end zone, the Steelers take it to the other end zone. The Steeler fans quite happy on this Christmas Day. Their team leading 17-0. The 15-yard penalty hitting the long snapper before he could get back up to block and defend himself means the kickoff comes from midfield, and it works into the end zone. Todman waited for it to get there, so it's touchback, and Houston takes over the 25. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins could find a consistent quarterback. He's caught touchdown passes from 10 different quarterbacks through all the changes over the last 4 years here in Houston. It's been a bunch of guys, and then Deshaun Watson and Hopkins right away made magic, but Hopkins been catching them from everyone. He, Irving Fryer, and Andre Rison could have a conversation, tying for the most in a 5-year span from those multiple quarterbacks. The difference is Hopkins is doing it in the same place over and over and over. First down carry for Lamar Miller, and that will be limited to just a 2-yard gain. Hopkins been mostly quiet here today, just the one reception, but Kurt, it's got to be a bit frustrating for Hopkins knowing the ever-changing world of the quarterback position, the inconsistency, and he can't find somebody to get him the ball on a regular basis. He's a supreme talent.
Well, and it sounds so easy. I know a lot of people at home is like, let's just throw and catch. It's just a different guy throwing it, but the rapport that you develop and understanding when to throw, especially a guy like DeAndre Hopkins that is so good, even when it looks like he's covered, you have to learn that as a quarterback.
Yates knows that. He knows to look his way often, trying to spread it around. Ryan Mallett, we emphasize the K, so you don't think Ryan Mallett, the quarterback, is back here. Ryan Mallett, first-year player out of Virginia Tech, making his NFL debut on Christmas Day, makes his first catch for a minimal gain. He was just activated to the active 53-man roster a couple of days ago.
On the edge, he actually trips and falls down. Lured the defense asleep a little bit, and T.J. Yates does a nice job of finding him as a check down.
They've been through a bunch of tight ends here. C.J. Fedorowicz has had multiple concussions. Ryan Griffin, Michael Pruitt, all ending up on injured reserve. 3rd and 5. Yates in trouble, lost the football, and Bud Dupree is there for Pittsburgh with the recovery. Cameron Hayward knocked it away. Dupree was on it, and the Steelers are going to take over at the Texans 29.
Coverage down the field. Will try to step up in the pocket. Cameron Hayward does a nice job of getting his hand on the football, knocking it out, and Bud Dupree's right there to clean it up. See it right here. From the inside, hand on the ball. Dupree scooping it up.
Again, add to that terrific season that Hayward is having, forcing the fumble.
You go back to the 4th down play, down on the 1-yard line and deciding to throw for it actually on 3rd and 4th down. The interception, it turns into a long touchdown drive by the Steelers. Now you come right back with this. Not a good couple series for the Texans there.
Hayward's going to be credited with the sack. His 2nd of the day. Steelers will take over when we come back, trying to add to their lead. Monday afternoon football on this Christmas Day. Pittsburgh leading 17-0 after the turnover. And from the 28, Roethlisberger. Check it down to Le'Veon Bell. His 400th touch on the season is right around a 1st down. Just shy of a gain of 9 on the play. And we have an injured Texan, and it is Jadeveon Clowney, who was in pursuit of Roethlisberger.
You see it right here. He's rushing the passer. A little chip there. Hard to really see what happened. Looks like something with his arm, bicep, shoulder.
It was a similar situation last week. The loss in Jacksonville. Clowney had one of those stingers, one of those pains shooting down his arm as he was in pursuit. And Clowney came out of the game, then came back into the game. And I asked Bill O'Brien about that when we spoke with Bill this week, and he said that's just an example of what Clowney has become. He's a leader. I mean, guys could, look, the season's done. You kind of, I'm hurt, I'm going to check out here, but he was physically able to go back in, and he did in a blowout game. And with J.J. Watt not here, somebody had to step up to be the leader of this defense. And Clowney has done just that with examples like playing through pain the last couple of weeks.
And that rep coming out of college, a lot of people wondered if he had that toughness. And you heard it from a number of coaches this week that we talked to, said he's learning that. And over the last couple of weeks, as he's been banged up a little bit, he's wanted to get back in there and take on that leadership role. We saw it at practice the other day.
Yes.
Just him kind of leading the guys and the energy that he brought, even though they've only won 4 games this season.
Tomlin and Roethlisberger just in a conversation there. They're going to let this baby run down to the 2 and get set for 2nd and 1. 2-minute warning here in Houston. Steelers in control of this game, leading 17-0. There's Clowney back in. So I'm hurt. Timeout. You can come back in, and here he is back in. Not asking out, but asking for more. And they're lining him up inside for the 2nd and 1. The 19, it's Bell again. Lowers the shoulder, delivers the blow. And a first down for the Steelers inside of minute 50 in this half.
And aren't you looking forward to seeing this guy, Jadeveon Clowney, with J.J. Watt, with Whitney Mercilus, and what he can do, moving around to so many different spots. And he's really come into his own these last couple years. But J.J. Watt has seldom played when Jadeveon Clowney was at that level. So it's going to be fun in the future when that guy gets healthy to be able to see those guys working together.
Season-ending injuries. Watt's only played a quarter of the available games in those last 2 seasons. Roethlisberger flips it to the end zone. Jesse James can't bring it down. Jesse James in the end zone. We've seen that 1,000 times over this week at the front of the goal line. They're trying to catch one in the back, and Zach Cunningham was back with coverage.
Good throw, just on the corner out once again. Cunningham underneath, got good coverage. Gets his arm right in there to be able to pull the ball out at the last second. Really good coverage right there. Good throw. Just sometimes good defense beats a good throw.
Of course, most of you have seen and talked about the Jesse James catch against the Patriots at the goal line. What is a catch? What's not a catch? We'll let you have that conversation around your Christmas desserts at home. We've all weighed in enough on that. Certainly part of the story for the Steelers in that game with Pittsburgh, with New England, in Pittsburgh. 2nd and 10, Roethlisberger. He's going to check it down to Bell. Bell just bounces off the Kevin Johnson hit. And now half the Texans defense comes and says enough. It will be a loss of a couple of yards and a timeout taken with 1:04 to go.
I thought it was interesting you talked about that play last week, and we talked to Coach Tomlin about that and just said, did you discuss that throughout the week? And it was an interesting take where he said, we actually discussed it before the game, that we knew this was going to be a big game, but this was just a setup game for the playoffs. And you see that play right there as he reaches in and the ball comes loose. But I just thought that was an interesting take that Tomlin said, no, we discussed what happened in this game, whether we win or lose, before the game. So we weren't hung up on if we lost to the Patriots here or how this set us up for the #1 seed. But an interesting take by a coach that always seems to have a handle on his team and the situations and understanding there's a bigger picture than just one regular season game.
A lot was made of his comments with Tony Dungy interview they did before Sunday night game on Football Night in America about the Patriots weeks before the game. And Mike said, hey, that was all set. It was Act 1. We think there's going to be an Act 2. We want to make sure our guys are ready for that as well. 3rd and 12, Roethlisberger trying to escape. He does, and benches it, gets rid of it incomplete. Looked like there was a hold on the Steelers' offensive line as Ben was escaping to his left.
Holding. Offense number 53. Penalties decline. Result of the play. 4th down.
They got pouncing, and they'll get a field goal attempt from Boswell now.
It's always where it's tough on an offensive lineman is when your quarterback starts to move out of the pocket. You expect him to be right behind you. As Ben slides to his left, the defender goes that direction. You got your hands up in there, a little bit of a pull, and it's always easy for the officials to see that one.
Ufamba Kamalu is one of the Houston Texans defenders getting an opportunity because of the injuries. Was the player restricted by Pouncey. So in the AFC, where Justin Tucker from Baltimore is such a good kicker year after year after year. Hard to break in there and have a Pro Bowl season, but Boswell has, including December over his 3 years. What numbers? Only missed one in the month of December. And keeps that rolling from 36 yards. Doing so much of that kicking in a tough place to kick, Heinz Field. In the poor weather in the division, really, when you think about it, in the month of December. And Boswell's numbers have been great. Makes it 20-0 here before halftime. Well, -1 passing yards doesn't really get it done for you, Kurt.
No, it's hard to win many games with -1 yards passing. But, you know, the interesting thing is they've been actually running the football very well. And I still go back to that drive where they're down on the 1 yard line. They got 2 downs, and instead of just handing it off and trying to get a touchdown, maybe a 10-point, maybe a 14-point swing there, they decide to throw it twice when they're not having a whole lot of success on the outside. And you see, throw up in front of him right there, they have a chance to score. Bad throw, bad situation, not taking a chance running the football. They're going to be kicking themselves at halftime that they decided to throw on 3rd and 4th down right there, Mike.
Couldn't agree with you more. And you're talking about T.J. Yates, who's come in here, as we said. He was home half the season, waiting for a job, looking for an opportunity. Deshaun Watson had 19 touchdowns his first 7 games. Really thought this offense had found something, found some magic, as Chris Thompson will take the touchback back to the 25-yard line, and then Watson gets hurt. So here's a guy who comes in as a rookie. And we heard Dabo Swinney, the Clemson coach, say, it's like you're passing on Michael Jordan if you don't take Watson. Yeah, okay, that's his college coach pumping him up. But then he came in here and he electrified this organization.
He did, and it's fun to talk to the guys in the organization because every single one of them said, oh, we saw it early. I was talking to Tom Savage, and he goes, yeah, I know it was a competition early, but I saw in the first couple days that this was going to be really tough for me to win because that kid was so special.
First time run for Alfred Blue, who earlier in this half had a 48-yard run, which is his career long. And Houston gets the ball to start the second half. Looks like they'll just try to run it twice and perhaps get out of Dodge without any more damage.
But amazing to think that they were the highest scoring team in football when Deshaun Watson was playing. That was how good he was. And as we said, haven't scored 17 points without him in the lineup all year.
Mike Hilton on that blitz from the slot got Yates, and he is shaken up. And that's one thing this team cannot afford. Another injury at quarterback. Remember, Tom Savage got started for this team. Watson got hurt, and then Savage came back in. He got hurt. And Yates on that corner blitz by Hilton took a shot. And Bill Vinovich stops the game here and gets the attention of the training staff. And Taylor Heineke might be ready to make his NFL debut.
And here you see them showing it from one side. Everybody's looking to that side. Blue goes to pick it up, and it's the backside that nobody saw. T.J. Yates didn't see that coming. Hilton off the slot, but they love this Mike Hilton. He does a great job for him playing in the slot. He can blitz, he can tackle, and he can cover.
Yates getting hit in the side. So they'll take an exam with him. And yet another quarterback gets added to this endless run, it feels like, for Houston. Taylor Heineke, 3rd year out of Old Dominion. He's been bouncing around on practice squads along the way. Minnesota, New England. He was activated by this team December 15th. He won the Walter Payton Award. That goes to the FCS player with the old Division I AA, who's the best player of the year, and he was in 2012. He got through for an obscene amount of yards, almost 15,000 yards in his career. Born in Swanee, Georgia on Christmas Day against the Steelers. Welcome to the NFL, Taylor Heineke. Handed off to Blue, and we will see the Steelers take a timeout. Let's see. Clock stops at 12 seconds. Yes, it's 4th down. Pittsburgh is going to force Leckler to come on the field and kick it away.
Situation here, you might as well give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
Something bad happens, maybe you get some more points. Maybe you got a chance to return this, get into field goal range. As we talked about, Boswell's been so good from long range this year, but not taking anything for granted. We're going to take every opportunity to see if we can put more points on the board and put this thing away.
That's one of those things in the NFL. You know, it's the first half. You're free game. You keep rolling. You don't start calling off the dogs at any point 20-0 before halftime.
Well, there's that, and then there's also all these young guys that you're trying to get up to speed without AB. So you just wonder in the second half if they're going to leave maybe Big Ben and Bell in a little bit more to allow these guys to work together, because they may need them down the stretch depending on what happens with Antonio Brown.
Try to set up a return for Eli Rogers. A big kick, 59 yards by Leckler. Rogers from the 15, trying to cut through the middle. Spins and turns. He's down at the 31 with 3 seconds remaining until halftime. Talk about the quarterbacks who've come in and played for Bill O'Brien here over the years and this year, the Houston Texans. 3 9-7 seasons, won the division the last couple of years. I mentioned in 2015 with injuries, Yates came back in, but Brian Hoyer was the primary starter. Fitzpatrick in his first year, Osweiler, and we know what that odyssey was with Brock. Now Tom Savage, and you don't see there the guy who they hope is the future, and Deshaun Watson, who said this week, I want Bill O'Brien to be my quarterback going forward.
You know, when you have a graphic that says primary starter, that there's been a lot of guys working through there. But yeah, they're hoping that Deshaun Watson comes back and is the guy they saw for those 7 weeks this year.
20-0 Steelers. Merry Christmas from Houston, Texas, on this NBC NFL Christmas special. Roethlisberger's going to take the shot downfield. Bryant broke free. Is ruled a catch. Roethlisberger surveys, throws to the end zone, and it's caught by Hunter for the touchdown. And Yates is going to throw again down here. Intercepted. And Roosevelt Nix into the end zone for the touchdown. 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and 2 quarters away from guaranteeing a bye. The Pittsburgh Steelers leading Houston 20-0 here at NRG Stadium on this Christmas Day. Roethlisberger, it's been fine. It's been calm, nothing spectacular for Ben. TJ Yates, 4 sacks, 2 completions, 8 yards, and 1 big hit at the end of the half. Heather will update us in a second. So no Antonio Brown. How is it being distributed? A lot of distribution. 5 to the running backs. That's mostly Le'Veon Bell with his 5 receptions in that first half. And for Bell, he's now over 400 touches for the season, 75 total yards for him thus far. Keeping an eye on the total rushing yard numbers. See if he's going to be close to the top with Todd Gurley leading going into the final week of the season. And it's been the story. With all the injuries, the Texans offensively have struggled, in -7 passing yards when you throw in the sack yardage there.
And we talked about how hard it would be for TJ Yates anyways, you know, not being on a team just a couple months ago and now starting. But I mean, you just got to have more than that from your quarterback if you expect to be competitive in any game in the National Football League.
Looks like it'll be Heineke to start the 3rd quarter. We're underway with a long kickoff and a touchback. The Texans will take over at the 25. And here's Heather for the injury update.
Mike, once the half ended, TJ Yates remained in the medical tent on the field being evaluated by a UNC. They then took his helmet away, and he was later escorted into the team training room where he remains. Bill O'Brien told me that he has been evaluated for concussion, but at this point has not been ruled out. But O'Brien said he's going with Taylor Heineke to start the second half, told me he knows the game plan. He won't change anything schematically with the offense because of Taylor. Mike?
Okay. Now, Heather, it's just been the story this year for O'Brien and this team as a whole. Here's Heineke, who was signed to the practice squad less than a month ago and is now the quarterback for the Texans, really their 4th quarterback this year. Alfred Blue with the first down carry for 8 yards. Kurt, can you imagine? Just tell me what you think this is going on in this guy's head. Taylor Heineke, 24 years old, and here's your NFL debut on this stage against this team.
Well, and being down 20-0 already. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, you got a defense that's going to throw a whole bunch of different looks at you. First of all, you're in a tough environment, as you talked about, being down 20-0 right off the bat. But if they can continue to run the football, take a little bit of pressure off this young guy early.
Saw those gaudy numbers at Old Dominion. Carry here with Blue, not going to go anywhere. He'll lose a couple of yards, but Dupree and TJ Watt lead the charge.
We talked about the Steelers defense and all the different looks. I mean, you see all the bodies up at the line of scrimmage. Some are flying out, some are coming. You have to be able to register who's coming, who's not coming, who's going to be blocked, and it's just tough for guys that don't get a lot of reps. TJ Yates didn't have a lot of reps against that. That was the thing he was looking at and saying, I have to be really good at this. As you see right here, coming from the backside, didn't even see him coming. That's going to be the real challenge for Heinicke here in the second half.
And that's the play got hurt on Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator for Pittsburgh. His third year in that job after working with Dick LeBeau for the first dozen years. But Keith was here with Pittsburgh. 3rd and 4. Heinicke to the air and a completion. First down. And the ball pops out, but after they say Will Fuller was down. So it'll be a catch and a first down to the 41-yard line.
Nice to be in a 3rd and short situation, and just a little choice route here by Fuller. See Bud Dupree drops off in coverage and drops to the inside. Just finds the hole there. Nice, easy pitch and catch for the first down.
Knee down with possession of the ball, so that's why it stopped back there. So Heinicke was undrafted, coming out of college, was on the Vikings, made their 53-man roster in 2015, but was inactive for every game. So he was the 3rd quarterback, and he was never the number 2 ready to go in at a moment's notice. Gives it to Blue here, runs left. Watton Williams with the tackle, but a good first down run for Alfred Blue. So he stays with Minnesota, comes back in the 2016 season. He's on non-football injury list, and finally in that same inactive 3rd quarterback role the balance of the season. So he's never seen the field there.
No, but you've talked about it, but he's thrown a lot of footballs. You talked about
right.
15,000 yards, 132 touchdown passes in college. So he knows what to do behind center, but as you said, it's a whole different ball game when you get to this point in this type of environment.
He hasn't thrown one of those in a game that matters since 2014, so it's been 3 years.
Yes, no question. Never easy.
2nd and 3. He gives it to Blue. Good patience by Blue. Almost Nellian patience there. It's like Le'Veon. He waited, let everybody go by, and gets the first down.
Waiting for Quesenberry here to push 2 defenders by, but as you said, great patience. And really the bright spot, you know, you're coming in with all the different changes up front. You wondered if they were going to be able to protect the quarterback and run the football. They've done one of those really, really well tonight in running the football, and Alfred Blue has been great. Patience. We've seen him breaking a couple big ones already today.
48-yarder in the first half. He has 90. There's TJ Yates coming back, and they're giving him his helmet. So that must mean, you would assume, he's come through the concussion protocol. We'll find out from the sideline. Once again, it's a run. This time it's Miller. Lamar Miller comes in for Alfred Blue, and he gains 2 yards. So as Yates waits, Heinicke, you get to opening night. It was a Monday night opener. Minnesota's playing New Orleans. You look back, it was a pretty big game, right? And Heinicke gets released that day because they had to make a roster move. And then New England comes and picks him up, and the Patriots had him for 3 weeks, week 3 through 5. Then they have to make a roster move, let him go, and now he's waiting, and then with all the injuries here, gets the call after Thanksgiving, and here he is on Christmas. NFL debut. 2nd and 9, Andre Ellington is the back who's motioned out. And with the empty backfield, Heinicke gonna move, gonna take off, and get hit by Vince Williams, stretches out to the 43-yard line. It will go down as a gain of 2.
I know as well as anybody, lots of different paths.
Williams shaking up there.
To becoming a starter in the National Football League. We've seen it tonight with both of these quarterbacks. Different paths to get here, but bottom line is you're just waiting for that opportunity. You know, this young kid has been saying, I can play football, waiting for that opportunity, and now he's got it. Let's see what he can do with it.
Keep an eye on that Steelers sideline on Vince Williams, because of course Ryan Shazier out for the Steelers. Williams had moved into that role of being the communicator on that defense beside Spence, and now LJ Fort has come in as Williams went out. 3rd and 7, the blitz is coming. Heinicke can't get away from Hilton, who's had a huge sack game. Yeah, you got all 3. It's Mike Hilton's nickel blitz out of the slot has been the story. A 17-yard loss on that one.
Well, you see right here, Hopkins ends up pointing at Hilton, say, hey, watch this guy coming on the blitz. There was just no quick throw there for Heinicke to get the ball out of his hands. Really nothing to do. Best thing would have been just to throw the ball away and save that extra yardage.
Hilton, who has come in here and done a terrific job in coverage. You see why the Steelers like him so much. 3 sacks for a DB. Short punt on the run, picked up And Eli Rogers on the run will be tackled by the long snapper, John Weeks, as he is brought down across the 35-yard line. 6 minutes in to this third quarter. Can't talk over the boss. First down, and Le'Veon Bell with the carry. He'll gain 2 yards here. We saw before we went to break the injury to the Texans' backup quarterback, Taylor Heineke, going down. You see his head hit there on the Mike Hilton sack. He went into the tent for medical evaluation and just came out as he was checked. And now he's going to be helped off the field, and they will look at him back in the locker room. He says he feels fine. But this is more of the awareness, especially after the Tom Savage play a couple of weeks ago, the Houston quarterback who was sacked against San Francisco. And the procedures around that, the league has beefed up some of those concussion procedures and protocols. Run here for Bell, and that was announced during the start of the early games yesterday. The league put out notice of the different protocols that have been passed around to the medical staffs around the league, including an extra UNC neurological consultant who's unaffiliated for the playoff games coming up. And Kurt, they're just trying, through sadly trial and error, but also to try to protect the future, everything they can to keep players as safe as possible in a dangerous game.
And it is the right move to take every precaution and make sure that things don't happen like happened to Tom Savage. That you want to make sure you check everything out before you put a guy back on the football field.
3rd and 3 for Roethlisberger and the Steelers. 4-man rush. Ben got rid of it. There was contact down there. No flag. Eli Rogers was asking for it. It doesn't come, and this Houston defense gets a 3-and-out from Pittsburgh to start this second half.
Eli Rogers comes out of this kind of funny. Looks like there was some contact there. Maybe pulling of the jersey at the top, but lets him go, and maybe Kareem Jackson gets away with one there.
It may be. Here's Braxton Miller. He played quarterback at Ohio State back in the day, and he is the emergency quarterback for the Texans. But he's playing receiver and punt returner, and fair catch right at the 10-yard line. After that 47-yard kick from the Aussie Jordan Berry. Yates medically cleared and coming back. TJ Yates back in the game for Houston. Alfred Blue comes back and gets even closer to his 100-yard day.
Steelers defense isn't slowing down either. You see continuing to come after, throwing blitz after blitz, attacking these young quarterbacks. But they're not taking their foot off the pedal here. They're going to keep coming after them and bring different looks to try to confuse them, whether it be in the run game or the pass game.
And big for them, Vince Williams did come back in. We saw him come out in the last drive. 98 for the Steelers, back in there in that linebacker spot. Blue to the right, and gain about 3 or 4 yards. We mentioned.
I wasn't sure. Did you say Vince or Bince?
Oh, and Williams?
Yeah,
I said
was
Vince.
Oh, I thought it was Bince. I thought he changed his Twitter handle to Bince because he wanted to be one of those killer bees. And those guys are all on the offense, so he changed that handle. So
well, you are Mr. Social Media, so you are right up to date, Kurt, on the handles that change. And yeah, he has Bince Williams on there now instead of Vince.
Hey, why not? He's in the mix now. Make him one of the killer bees.
When the lineups, he introduces himself as Vincenzo. That's his given first name. He's a character, a wonderful man to visit with. His 5th year out of Florida State. Steelers bring the pressure. Yates' pass is incomplete. Will Fuller could not catch it. And it will be a 3-and-out for Houston. They're under 6 minutes left in the third.
The struggles continue. Yates has had trouble finding his receivers. Finally gives a ball, maybe not the best ball, but a ball that should have been caught. Fuller can't come up with it and get that first down.
Bill O'Brien's quarterbacks 3 of 9. Yates is 2 of 8 in this game. Well, back to Leckler, 7-time Pro Bowler. He and Sebastian Janikowski drafted in the same draft And John Gruden was getting started coaching the Raiders. And here Leckler's still going at 41. Eli Rogers still going. Looking for a block here. Rogers got it at midfield. And down the sideline, Rogers is knocked out of bounds. But a big return by Eli Rogers to the 41-yard line.
You like to see a lot of these young guys making plays. Latavius Bryant made the long catch in the first half. We saw Justin Hunter make a play on the touchdown, and now you got Eli Rogers in the special teams.
Kick was 52, 28 on the return. And good field position for the Steelers when we come back. This is the 18th regular season game played on Christmas Day. 19th will be played a little bit later tonight in Philadelphia. Oakland eliminated against the Eagles. Philadelphia with a chance to lock down the NFC's #1 seed. The Steelers are closing in on a bye. They hold this lead 20-0. If they can close it out, they'll guarantee a bye for the first time since 2010. It's been a while. Get it quickly to Juju Smith-Schuster, and Houston has strung that out. Their defense did a nice job here. Lost him a few yards. So the games will matter for Pittsburgh and New England if Pittsburgh does win. New England playing the Jets obviously would be favored there. If New England wins, they're the 1, then Pittsburgh could be the 2. Cleveland obviously going for the 0-16 season, trying to avoid it, they hope. So those are the early games. The late window has a bunch of games that are playoff impactful. Cincy at Baltimore, Oakland at the Chargers, Buffalo at Miami, Jacksonville at Tennessee. Baltimore and Tennessee, if they win, they get the 5 and 6 spot. Then everything gets settled in the NFC as all of those games are played simultaneously from a competitive standpoint for balance. So nobody knows what the deal is before the games start. Martavis Bryant gets to the edge. Vance McDonald blocking downfield. And Bryant's out of bounds at the 36-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 3 coming up. You may have seen, although Christmas Day, maybe you're not following as much of the news, there's no Sunday night football game next week. The league making the announcement that from both a competitive standpoint and fan perspective, the most fair thing to do was to put all the games like Tomlin and the Steelers in the early window at 1 and then 4:25 Eastern time, those late windows. So no one is playing a game that's meaningless or is impacted by the prior result. And there'll be no Sunday night football matchup on New Year's Eve. That ends up with no playoff implications for one or both of the competing teams. The league making that announcement late last night. And the games will be played all in the afternoon. Roethlisberger to Juju Smith-Schuster. It's complete and to the 27-yard line and a first down. So the Steelers get their first down of this half, and they find a player who continues to emerge for them, the rookie out of USC.
They love this guy. They love to run shallow routes. You see a little shake right here, and he comes over the top of the backer, but they love to run these shallow routes and create some interference through the middle of the field and then send, a lot of times you're going to see Antonio Brown, but Juju Smith-Schuster is the guy that's kind of taking on that role and moving him around to play a lot of different spots. They love this young kid, and he's just a football player that understands how to play a lot of different roles.
First and 10, a break for Bell. Stephen Ridley with the carry, and he'll gain about 3 yards. So Mike Tomlin told us this. We're getting ready for the Tennessee game with Chris Collinsworth and the guys. And we start talking about Juju Smith-Schuster, and he's emerging. And Mike Tomlin said, yeah, I gave him to Le'Veon Bell. Like, Le'Veon, you kind of raise him a little bit. There's a lot of what happens here at Pittsburgh. The continuity of 11 years here, veteran stay. So a veteran like Le'Veon Bell, who had great football talent, but some immaturity issues off the field, he now has come around, and now, okay, you help Juju adjust to the league and do the things. He hasn't done it perfectly, but he's helping the guy understand what it takes. And you ask anybody on the Steelers team, they love Juju Smith-Schuster. Everybody's little brother is what Tomlin said last night. 2nd and 7, Bell dropped. Zach Cunningham was there. You've been in locker rooms. What's that like when the veterans can kind of take a young, talented guy, kind of smooth the edges?
And I tell you, it's so nice for a coach as well to have guys in the locker room that he feels he can trust to take on the roles. And they were talking about how Juju and Le'Veon were so similar.
Yeah.
They both bring energy. They both have that kind of youthful exuberance, but they're also great football guys. So he understood there would be a connection in how they went about life, but also how they focused on football. Great connection, but Coach Mike Tomlin, you got to give him credit that he understands how he can set guys together and how it's a betterment for his team.
You know, Smith-Schuster was suspended the one game with Vontaze Burfict, and that hit it against Cincinnati. Roethlisberger takes the time out here with the play clock running down. And then he was flagged for taunting there, and that situation came up, addressed by the Steelers. But they keep saying Smith-Schuster is very engaged, goes about his job the right way, and he's helping Ben Roethlisberger in a day where he doesn't have Antonio Brown. And what's Ben been doing, trying to spread it around?
Well, he has, and the guys up front are helping too, but you just see the progression. Get the ball out quick, not something Ben did great early in his career. Then the ability to scan the field, see everything, and by time, throw from a lot of different angles. See here on the touchdown pass, looking to his right, no panic, doesn't get out of there, and then just the flip as his body's going to the right, flipping it to his left. But you're just seeing a complete quarterback that has the ability to do everything as well as create those special plays when that team needs it.
He's 35 right now. He doesn't have guys hanging all over him every play, but he still has that card in the deck and knows when to play it. Here's the pressure. Here's Clowney. And Roethlisberger goes down, but looks like Clowney may have gotten him by the face mask. Let's see. The flag was thrown right as Clowney was making the hit.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 90, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And therein lies the frustration for the Texans and Clowney.
And you're going to see that move to the inside, actually bring another guy from the outside. Villanueva looked like he was expecting help, just lets Jadeveon Clowney go. And as you said, it just seems to be what's happening for Houston. You go in and get the sack, you got a free runner, and you grab the face mask and get the penalty to go with it.
Hey, Kurt, I've been seeing Clowney bounce around here, outside, inside a little bit. What are they trying to do, moving a guy like that inside the middle of the defensive line at times?
Well, the one thing you know is that you always want to consider him a down lineman if you're an offense. So they're going to move him around, so those offensive linemen always have to figure out where he's at and change their calls because of it, and then try to create early and quick pressure and penetration, which he's so good at.
Ridley runs to the left, and he'll be stopped at 10, gain of 2. Angelo Blackson made the tackle, third-year man out of Auburn.
And I think that speaks to where Clowney has gotten to as well. A lot of times they like to use J.J. Watt in those roles and move him around to different spots, but without J.J. Watt and Mercilus in there, they've put that on him as he's grown up and matured to give him a package every week where he's going to be inside, going to be outside, try to get matchups where he can create some havoc because he's that one guy that can really create some things defensively for them.
Second and 8, Bell through the hole, Bell to the end zone, reaches and in. Le'Veon Bell, touchdown, Pittsburgh. Trying to figure out what the celebration is here. They were
not really. Everybody just falls. I'm not really sure what we're doing.
They've come up with some great ones this year.
Well, Tomlin said it's Juju and Le'Veon that come up with a lot of these, but we'll see Juju come down and dig out the safety, but Bell reads it to the backside. Nice cut. So good when he gets contact. The contact, the balance to be able to stay up off the ground and reach for the end zone.
You know, terrific player, isn't he?
He is unbelievable. And so many things that he can do. And Todd Haley even talks, there's more things that he can do, especially like a wide receiver. They just haven't quite gotten that rapport between Ben and Le'Veon on the outside. But man, if they add that to the repertoire, I mean, he's almost impossible to cover when he gets out there in space.
11 touchdowns on the year, and the terrible towels are waving at every deck of NRG Stadium as Boswell knocks through the extra point. No fan base, all the fan bases are great around the league. So many loyal and passionate NFL fans. No fan base travels on a regular basis like the Steeler fans. They're up and waving towels and celebrating on Christmas Day in Houston. Their team closing in on a bye for the 2017 playoffs. Got to get on that before it gets out, and they do. It's a touchback. Chris Thompson. Now, speaking of the snow and the Winter Olympics, we had to dig a little bit deeper on that celebration. We couldn't see Juju Smith-Schuster. He was hiding behind the camera out there. This is what the celebration was. Christmas Day, snowball fight.
Got the snowballs. Oh, he's taking him out. Pretty good arm right there. He never got Le'Veon, though. Never got him down.
Shocking. Le'Veon hesitated. Can you imagine, kids play tag when we were growing up. Imagine playing tag against Le'Veon Bell. You'd never catch him.
No kidding. I mean, it'd be impossible. You see guys going to the ground all the time just trying to get a piece of his shirt.
Yates hands off for the 25. Another good run for the Texans. This time it's Lamar Miller who takes it out to the 42-yard line. Well, we mentioned T.J. Yates came here. He was sitting around home and waiting. He actually got Bill O'Brien's call when he was in the neonatal intensive care unit with his wife, Amy, and they were hanging on for dear life as their young son, Teddy, was born at 30 weeks, 2.5 months early in October. 2 pounds, 7 ounces. And there is Teddy last week, getting closer to getting well enough to get out of NICU and ICU, if you will, and come home. But it has been a very difficult time for the Yates family. Handoff there for Miller for a yard. The baby's been in the hospital. Amy's been there almost every day, back and forth. And she is here with their 16-month-old Carter. And that's in Atlanta, the Atlanta area. And here's TJ, gets the call and comes, and he's trying to put out some film there so he could stay employed as a quarterback. And she says, go. You gotta go and pursue the opportunity. And it's just been such a difficult time for the Yates family.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible story. And as you said, Teddy's doing great. He expects to get out of the ICU once the season's over. But it's great credit to Amy saying, hey, this is my dream, and she allowed me to do with everything that was on her plate.
Here's a throw, good throw. DeAndre Hopkins finally gets it. And look at Hopkins go to the 20-yard line. It's just like giving somebody some caffeine for a wake-up. Give him the football and watch him just go 37 yards to one of the top receivers in the league.
They're actually trying to double him. The safety goes up over the top. You see Joe Hayden calling for it. He drops underneath, but you know, Mike Tomlin says nobody better at combat catches. When there's guys around him, guys hanging on him, he is so good at being able to get up and get the football.
Biggest pass play of the day for Houston ends the third quarter here in Texas. On this Christmas Day, Steelers 27, Texans nothing. From Houston, Texas, and NRG Stadium, Mike Tirico, Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, Heather Cox.
98, go!
From the 20, it's a first down run with Lamar Miller, and he'll be stopped for no gain. That pickup of 38 was the longest pass play, as I mentioned, but also the first reception for Hopkins. As the pushing and shoving goes on.
See if Houston can at least get something positive going here. One big play to DeAndre Hopkins. They've been running the football actually really well tonight. Just haven't been able to finish anything. Get something positive going and see if they can feed off of that a little bit.
And Bill O'Brien was telling us about Hopkins. Here's a really talented receiver who obviously is not anybody who can get him the ball here over the last few weeks, but he hasn't complained. He has not done the diva thing. He's emerged as a leader, like we mentioned with Jadeveon Clowney on the defensive side. And you point back to his days around Andre Johnson, terrific receiver at the start of his career. Johnson didn't complain. He went through some similar frustrating stretches during his time with the Texans. And DeAndre was here at the end of Andre's days, and he learned from him what it takes and how to act. And it's helped turn a very talented player into a terrific pro. 2nd and 9, leaking out of the backfield. Miller, good job by Miller to wait, accelerate, and get the first down at the 9. First and goal for the Texans.
Nice little setup, a screen here. Easy completion for your quarterback. Nice job. See Afilo right here as he comes out. You'll see him get out in front, make a nice little block there to set up the first down for Lamar Miller.
Xavier Su'a-Filo, second-round pick back in 2014. Working next to Julian Davenport, making his 3rd career start as that left tackle. The opposite guard, Chad Slade, his 2nd career start. Again, no team has used more players this year than the Texans. Miller, inside run, stays on his feet. And will get close to the 5-yard line.
Lamar Miller doesn't get enough credit, but really over the last 4 years been one of the best running backs in the National Football League. Rush yards, top 5, also really good out of the backfield, but you don't win a lot of games, don't hear a lot about him, but he's been very consistent for this football team. If they could just get a little more help around him.
Been over 1,200 yards from scrimmage the last 3 years, sure-handed, as you see there. He'll come out. Alfred Blue will be the running back. Second and goal. Can they get Hopkins down here? Yates throwing that way. The flag down. The pass is incomplete. Hopkins sees everyone in black and gold, except the guy's holding the terrible towels. He gets so much attention.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense number 21. Half court for the roll, automatic first down.
Joe Hayden.
He's been chasing Hopkins around all night long, and you'll see it right here off the release. Always physical, they're always putting their hands on each other, but as he tries to go to the outside, just wraps him up. It's about all he could do in that situation. Otherwise, it's probably a sure touchdown for Hopkins.
Well, they get Hayden back. Mike Tomlin said, I don't know how we got him. Cleveland let him go. He wanted to be with this winning team, a chance in his career to be part of a great team. Here's Hilton blitzing off the slot again. Passer Hopkins. Oh, my goodness. Did he catch that? Did he catch that? That's the touchdown catch of the year, if that's good. They're still talking about it. There's a flag down. If he got that inbound, that's the touchdown catch of the year. Well, let's see. They didn't go up with a touchdown call yet.
Hands to the face. Defense number 91. Penalties decline. Result of the play. Touchdown.
Oh, Merry Christmas. That's unbelievable. What he just did. This is
Tip it up to
unbelievable.
yourself. He tries to one-handed here and just tips it up and then goes with the other hand. Oh, what an unbelievable catch.
Let's see
It's
what.
hard to tell. Did he get that second foot down?
It's possession there.
Or did it just
one
land
foot
on Hayden?
down? Yeah, I don't think anything else is down. It's a bummer. I don't care.
Let's check it out here. You see him get the one toe down. Oh, there's one. There's
Oh yeah, they're down. They're down.
You got him.
That angle, great job, guys. That angle gives it to you. Wow. That's sick.
That is unbelievable.
Oh
That was unbelievable.
They're going to look at that. We'll be back in 30 seconds. See if we believe it then. This guy's really good. I hope a bunch of Houston kids got number 10 jerseys for Christmas this morning.
I think that was the understatement. This guy's really good.
Oh my
This guy's
gosh.
unbelievable. That was awesome.
It looks like he's going to stand up. Here's Bill Vinovich.
After reviewing the play, the rule on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
All right, you've had guys make great catches in your day. For you, how good is this one?
I mean, to get both feet down, he's got the left hand on the jersey, tips it with the right, catches it with the left, still taps both feet before I mean, incredible. I mean, we see this guy make catch after catch every week, but I'm not sure we've seen one better than that.
He was holding Hayden. He had a fistful of jerseys. Well, we got to point out.
Details. Yeah, no, he was. He had his left hand on the jersey, but then to get it off and make the catch.
Hebe Fairbairn's extra point attempt is blocked. Joe Hayden came off the edge to get it. And the flag comes down. Looks like Joe got the quick start. We're seeing a lot of that. Guys trying to time those up and hit it.
Offside. Defense number 21. 5-yard penalty. Retry.
So Fairbairn will try one more time, unless the Texans choose to move the ball to the 1 and go for 2, which is an option, and Bill O'Brien will go down that road here at 27-6.
Well, we talk about it every week that if you're going to get something going, throw it to 10. And you saw on that drive, there was the one that he threw around Joe Hayden and made the catch and run afterwards, and then the touchdown catch. But we heard Bill O'Brien tell us that with T.J. Yates, it's if you ever get that guy one-on-one, throw it that direction, regardless of what else is happening. And you saw it a couple times right there.
Hopkins is running over there. Joe Hayden's going with him. He's like pointing to the fans. We've got the terrible towels in that corner. There's so many Steeler fans down at this end. So they'll try for 2 from the 1. And where are they going? Hopkins couldn't bring it in. Tight slant, incomplete. Vince Williams joins him down there making snow angels. Penalty marker late on the play as you get one more look at this incredible 2-pointer. I don't know if they're going to call in sportsmanlike conduct on Williams, who went back down there, or on Hopkins. Let's see what happens.
After the play was over, taunting. Defense number 98. 15-yard penalty on the kickoff. The try no good.
That's going to be on Williams. They'll tack it on to the kickoff. You saw it before we went to break. You saw it after we came back. You're going to see us a lot. The Christmas catch, authored by DeAndre Hopkins. glad to be here to see it happen. Great stuff. I'm just cycling through my mind here, Kurt, all the highlights all the season. Maurice Harris of the Redskins had the great touchdown catch, the one-hander in the right corner of the end zone against the Vikings, I believe that was. We had Antonio Brown catch it against his helmet in the Thursday nighter at Tennessee. Those were great.
But the combination of that, tipping it from one hand to the other and getting the tap in the toes, I don't know. Too many are going to beat that one.
Penalty brings the ball to midfield, so they try to just pooch the kick, and it is caught at the 30-yard line by the Steelers. Backup tight end Xavier Grimble. I'll let you talk about this catch one last time.
I mean, I'll talk about it all night. And again, right hand, he tries to one-hand it that way, but to get his hand off the jersey of Hayden and snatch it, and then they talk about it all the time with DeAndre Hopkins, that nobody's better on the sideline at tapping his toes, and you see it right there. Have the wherewithal to not only make the catch, but slap both of those feet down before he hits the ground. Wow.
Oh, great stuff. Yes, sir. You said at the top, terrific player. He, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones are at the top of their profession. Brown, sensational numbers here. Another 100 reception season. Le'Veon Bell with the carry there. He'll gain about 5. Here's Heather.
Did you guys notice the size of DeAndre Hopkins' hands during those replays? He credits his hands for his success. He calls them my extended palms. His hand measures 10 inches across. He requires a 3XL glove. His dad, who died when Hopkins was just a baby, had the same hand, so he thinks his big mitts are pretty cool. And by the way, guys, Deshaun Watson, who's watching from home, just tweeted out best receiver in the league after watching Hopkins catch.
That's a great quarterback. Just keep buttering up your big receiver. I'll be back, 10.
He's just saying, make those catches for me next year, please.
That's right.
It's going to be fun to watch those two guys work together some more when Deshaun gets healthy.
Brandon Dunn hopped into the neutral zone for the Texans. We'll see if Pouncey invited him in.
Approachment. Defense number 92. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
He did not. Well, pregame, when you get these gloves on, when your hands are so big, Heather talked about 3XL gloves. You gotta cut the gloves just so they fit properly.
I mean, every receiver at home watching right now is going, man, if I could just have those hands. I mean, incredible. It is amazing when you see some of these receivers and the size of their hands and the ability to go up and make these one-handed catches on a consistent basis is incredible.
At 21, Roethlisberger's going to take a shot to see if one of his guys can make a play. Juju Smith-Schuster says, I got one here at the 20-yard line. Kareem Jackson back there, gain of 49.
You see just the one-on-one, just a go route. And he's so strong. They talk about how strong he is for a young kid. The hand fighting there, and then he was able to adjust to the outside and make the catch. But, you know, we talk, AB's not here tonight. We've seen all the other young guys step up and make plays at different times. It's a good sign for this team as they're heading into the playoffs, not sure what the status of Antonio Brown's going to be.
Mike Tomlin sounded positive that from what was technically termed a contusion of the calf, that Brown would be back for the postseason. And getting a bye in this win certainly would help that. Roethlisberger surveys, gets it to Smith-Schuster again. Into the red zone to the 19-yard line. You saw the graphic, 21 years old. He turned 21 during the season, didn't have his license, had his bike stolen, had the celebration in Detroit after the long touchdown of chaining up the bike that was on the sideline. There's humor there in the entire package that is the second-round pick out of Southern California.
Todd Haley was telling me, he calls him Ferris Bueller because it seems like all of his stuff is out there. Everybody knows everything about him, but yeah, great young guy with great energy, but also 100% sold out on football as well.
Stephen Ridley to the right. Grimble tried to block Jadeveon Clowney, but couldn't make enough of a path for Ridley. Third down coming up.
Another thing they love about him, and you mentioned earlier, Hines Ward, his ability to come down and block. He's not afraid to block. He's going to come in and stick his nose in there a little bit. And again, what they love about him is so versatile, can do so many different things.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin said last night, Hines Ward 2.0. It's what we saw when we saw him. Like, whoa, that's big praise now. And Mike was here for a lot of the great stuff from Hines. But they brought Hines in as a coaching intern in Latrobe in this preseason. just to help get Juju to understand what he can be. And we've seen some of that. Here comes the pressure. Picked up nicely. Roethlisberger, middle of the field. Juju Smith-Schuster. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
Great move right here and great patience on the route. Again, what you see from a young guy, he's on the inside here, and he's going to give a little stick to the outside, win his one-on-one matchup off the pressure. Little stick, get the defender to go. Great move by that young man.
17-yard touchdown for Juju Smith-Schuster. It's like the game now. Can the announcer guess what the celebration is? I think that might have been opening the present on Christmas morning with the football coming out at the end. I'm not sure, but in any case, it's 33-6. And the Steelers respond to the Houston touchdown with one of their own. And Boswell adds the extra point. I'm going to talk here with Kurt and get his thoughts on what we're looking at in the AFC playoffs. We know New England and Pittsburgh are going to have the bye. They're going to have the chance to get rested. They're going to have a chance to get Juju Smith-Schuster his first playoff experience. See the Astrodome there in the shot. Saw the remembrances of the great Dick Enberg this week. Just remember his call of the UCLA-Houston game in 1968, game that put college basketball on a different level. We all add our thoughts and condolences to the Enberg family. A great man, inspired so many of us. Wonderful to spend time with him. Been thinking about them all week. Touchback here. Steelers will take over at the, or Texans take over at the 25. And our special is brought to you by Verizon. Watch live primetime games on NFL Mobile, only on Verizon. Another perspective on this catch.
Every angle makes it look even more impressive. I mean, you see the height, the ability and concentration to get to the football, the toe tap. I mean, everything you can ask a wide receiver was done on that play. Just incredible. And we heard about him all week, but you're still surprised when you see incredible plays like that, Brian.
And the freeze gives you just great perspective on the control of his body at that height up there as he was making the play. No gain here for Alfred Blue, who has 97 yards, trying to get to a 100-yard game. So, Kurt, I mentioned to go into the break. We have New England. We know they will have a bye. Pittsburgh will have a bye. If somehow the Patriots lose to the Jets, and then the Steelers are able to beat Cleveland, that's the only way Pittsburgh would get the #1 seed. Otherwise, it'll be New England 1, Pittsburgh 2, Jacksonville at 3, and Kansas City at 4. So now we're starting to think about what we're going to see as those matchups play out, not knowing who 5 and 6 are just yet.
And you use a great word there, matchups, because when it comes to playoff time, that's what you're always thinking about is, do we have a favorable matchup with the team that we're playing against?
Yates to Hopkins on the sideline. That one is, see, ruled a catch at the 38-yard line. So do you think Pittsburgh took anything positive out of the New England game? Of course they lost, and they lose the chance to have that game at Heinz Field if that's the AFC Championship game.
Well, it sure sounded like it. It sure sounded like, because AB went down, they played competitively, and they left that game feeling like, okay, it's not too big. We heard Ben say, well, New England was like this mythical creature that's out there that you've heard all these great stories about.
Right.
And until these young players got in the game and realized that they could compete with that, it was a little bit bigger than they were. And so they came out feeling like, hey, we can play against this team, we can compete. And so we don't like to talk about moral victories too often, but it sure felt like there was some kind of victory that they gained from that as they move forward into the playoffs.
Sean Spence with the sack of Yates. I thought it was a little interesting to hear that almost spin, if you will. But then when you take a step back, you think about a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster. When the Patriots have started this run of winning a dozen-plus games a year, here's Hopkins on the run, holding the football like a loaf of bread, out to the 45, 3 shy of the first down. You start thinking, okay, well, that makes sense. Juju Smith-Schuster was in middle school when Gronk got to the Patriots, and this run of 12 straight wins that the guys were talking about at halftime in the studio got started. So there is good context there, and for these young players, especially on the back end, they have a lot of young defensive players, especially the secondary. It wasn't a win, but the experience of playing New England, being right in that game, can't help but aid them as they get ready for what would be a rematch of the AFC Championship game if they both get that far.
And you're right, that's part of the battle is just mentally getting to the point where you believe you can compete with anybody or compete with a team like New England, as you said, that you've looked at on a pedestal because they've been so good for so long.
Yates flushed and just benches it, and Leckler will come back out to punt for the 6th time today and the 17th time in the last 2 games. Ben said he wants to get back and get a ring for his O-lineman. He'd love a 3rd, of course. It changes.
Well, no doubt he would like another one for him, but I thought that was great when we asked him, you contemplated retirement a little bit, you were thinking about it, what brought you back? And he's like, those guys up front, you know, and I want to win one for them, and I thought it was a great perspective for a guy that's grown up as a quarterback.
Eli Rogers did not make the fair catch. He returns it just 2 yards, tackled by Chris Thompson with 6:48 to go. 34-6. A Merry Christmas for the Steelers and their fans. (1,034 snaps the Steelers have had on offense this year, and Roethlisberger's played all but 4 of them until right now. He's on the bench, and Landry Jones, the 4th-round pick in 2013, year 5 with the Steelers, and at quarterback in this 34-6 game, Stephen Ridley with the carry and will gain a yard. He's had 2 starts each of the last 2 years as Roethlisberger has been banged up along the way. Ben stayed quite healthy this year. And there you see Jones's numbers. School record setter at Oklahoma during his 50 starts in Norman and the rest of the conference.
A great opportunity now with this league to get some experience for these young guys that they may need down the stretch and into the playoffs if some guys get banged up.
One more time, Stephen Ridley. You've mentioned Todd Haley a few times, a guy who you knew as an offensive coordinator along the way. Todd had the Kansas City job as a head coach in 2009, 2010. He's wearing that number 50 like many of the coaches, thinking of Ryan Shazier, the Steelers linebacker who's watching back in Pittsburgh. You know, I'm watching the pregame shows, and the insiders are starting to say 8, 9, maybe 10 head coaching jobs. Who knows? I mean, the speculation's always wild this time. You wonder if a guy like Haley will get interest and get another opportunity. There are a lot of young quarterbacks coming out, a lot of young quarterbacks in the league. Look what Sean McVay did with the Rams in elevating a young quarterback in Jared Goff to a division champion, a division championship team. Jones fires, incomplete, looking for Eli Rogers. It'll be interesting to see if Todd's name comes up because there's some coaching experience and the guy pumps out good offense on a regular basis.
He does. I think sometimes he gets a bad rap because we've seen that fire and passion on the sideline a little bit. I remember talking to him before he got the Kansas City job and just saying, are you sure you're ready from a personality standpoint? And he thought he was, but he learned a lot in that process. And I've talked to him over the last few weeks, and he says, I think I'm ready now. I think I've really grown, and I'm ready to be able to handle that situation, and he really hopes he gets another opportunity.
If you're going to fire 8 or 9 guys, and who knows what's going to happen, who are you going to hire? Are there that many guys ready for jobs, and there's someone with some experience? The return by Braxton Miller will bring him down at the 32-yard line. 5:10 left in this one. 34-6 Steelers. Well, T.J. Watt is the player in the Pittsburgh sideline blue tent being examined by the athletic training staff. Here's what happened on that punt return. As you see, the fullback Roosevelt Nix, who has a touchdown. The contact leads to the left knee of Watt getting twisted. He went to grab for it right away. He was trying to stay in the game, and Bill Vinovich pointed it out. The referee told the athletic training staff, John Norwood, who's been doing this for a long time with Pittsburgh, come check Watt. Great job by Vinovich to make sure that TJ didn't try to play through it. And that examination going on the sideline there for the Steelers. Alfred Blue with the carry. That gets him over 100 yards. He's at 105 and a first down. TJ Watt's had a really good rookie season for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. We know the name, we know the pedigree, but even JJ said, hey, it has nothing to do with me and what I did. He's done it on his own, and he's very proud of his younger brother.
And what they love is that he's a prototypical 3-4 linebacker, meaning he can rush the passer, he can stop the run, but he's also great in coverage. You see a lot of guys being forced into that position that can't cover real well, but he's perfect for what they do scheme-wise here in Pittsburgh.
He's second most in snaps, dropping back in coverage for outside backers this year. Here's a look at his day.
And you'll see it, just athleticism right there on Hopkins, but the ability to cover in space, rush the passer as you see right there. He's good against the run. And again, he can do so many different things with him, which is what you want in a 3-4 type scheme, because you can blitz a lot of different guys, but you have to have guys that can drop back in coverage. TJ Watt can do it all.
Let's hope that left knee is okay for Watt. He's got his helmet back on. It's an encouraging sign. First down picked up by the Texans. Yates lost the ball again. Pinballed around back there, and TJ got back on it. Stephon Tuitt had the first pressure. Feels like we're saying this a lot, but another guy who's had a good season for Pittsburgh. Heather, the Watts had a little Christmas celebration last night.
Indeed, they've had this date circled on their calendar since TJ was drafted. They gathered at JJ's right here in Houston and cheered on Derek as he and the Chargers beat the Jets. Derek was even there in spirit on JJ's phone, right there on the shoulder in this family photo. TJ told me it's the first time that most of them have been together since JJ's first year in the league, when they all gathered in Houston as well, in what TJ called the best Christmas they've ever had. It was their last Christmas with their grandpa, Mike.
So many thoughts to those who were part of their special Christmas celebrations who are no longer with us, and TJ made a play. Say, hey, give me a chance to catch that one. He used to come to a bunch of JJ's games here, so he's very excited to come back and just play in a stadium he's been in often.
I know he's going to hesitate to say he learned that from his brother, but nobody better in the league to get their hands up and making plays on the football. Nice job right there to recognize as he was trying to get the sack, the throw, get the hands up, knock it down.
You saw the picture of JJ and the mom, Connie. Connie's the vice president of JJ's foundation. And we should point out what a great job they did with the Hurricane Harvey relief efforts. The pass was incomplete. Try to get it to the tight end, Steven Anderson. We know Hurricane Harvey hit this area and did such devastation. The estimate's $200 billion of money needed to repair, restore, and get people back. I ran into a couple in the hotel today who have spent months in a temporary housing situation and just wanted to break it up for Christmas, so they came to a hotel for a couple of days to try to feel like it was something different, and they could do it. There are so many people who can't. So many people who were over at the George Brown Convention Center downtown for dinner, a holiday dinner last night. And J.J. Watt's Foundation did an incredible job raising money. Flag is down as Rodgers spins and twirls and chases it out to the 27-yard line. We'll check the flag. But needless to say, all the people in Houston, Bill O'Brien's team did an incredible job, not just the Watt fundraising, but everything else. There are a lot of people here in Houston who have not had an enjoyable time and have had a difficult Christmas. And just to keep them in your thoughts and prayers, as the flooding waters receded, the news attention went away.
Offense number 31. 5-yard penalty for end of the run. First down.
But there's still a lot of rebuilding to do in this area.
And you're right, that sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. Everybody was with JJ when he was going through those efforts, but then sometimes, okay, that stops and you forget about the devastation and how far-reaching it's going to be and how long this process is going to take. And so love what he's doing, and he's got a plan not only for what he raised, but to hold some back to make sure he continues to build the city in the future.
There are parts of the city you go around, you never know anything happened, and there are other parts that's not the case. But man, the positive power of social media was on display there. JJ put that out on Sunday night. I remember we ran it during the second half of the preseason game we were doing. It started to catch wildfire, and man, the incredible money that was raised from around the country, and people around the league too, ownership level, player level, jumped in and said, how can I help? 2:46 to go. It's Stephen Ridley getting some run here as he gets used to being in black and gold. Used to be with the Patriots. Tore his ACL back there. Then was with the Jets in Atlanta for a game. Ended up in Denver's camp. Signed with Minnesota. And now here he is. Maybe this will be his ticket back to the big game.
Maybe he will. And I remember going back to J.J. Watt when he started, and he goes, I want to raise $200,000.
Right.
You know, he started at $200,000, and then just to watch it incrementally move up to 37 million plus. I mean, pretty incredible. his efforts, but as you mentioned, all those people that jumped in and said, hey, you know, we got to help those that are in need.
2-minute warning here in Houston. Speaking of people, this is part of our Thursday Night Football package, and it's been great folks in many different locations around the country. Our NBC headquarters in Connecticut. This is our audio group, by the way, among those here in Houston today, but on the road. A lot of these folks, the folks who work out in Los Angeles, NFL Network headquarters as well, a lot of these folks are away from their family on Christmas as well. So chance to gather around, see your loved ones around the camera, say Merry Christmas to them. And we say thank you, one and all, for a wonderful Christmas.
Why didn't you get them all matching pajamas for these pictures?
Why
am I the only one that I don't camera with matching pajamas with my whole entire family?
It's the Warner family tradition continuing. We just get to share it with all of America and share these folks, talented women and men who travel around the country week in, week out, and get the job done for all of you to enjoy football throughout the year. Thank you, everyone, and Merry Christmas to your families. George Hill, Malibu Kelly Hayes up here in the booth with us, Audrey Mansfield, our entire team that has done the Thursday-Sunday double dip. They've seen a few football games this year. We all have. Love it. Nothing like it. Ridley the carry. First down across the 40 to the 41-yard line. You got your pajama tradition. I've got the tradition. My daughter gets me a tie for Christmas Day.
I like what you say.
When I'm on the road.
12 years now? Is it 12 ties?
Well, 15.
Oh, 15.
Going back to the NBA. Yeah, doing the NBA on Christmas Day for many years. I've been on the road for the last decade and a half, but I've got some Christmas ties now.
You guys go out and do that together? Or
no, for my birthday. She gets one every year.
Every year for birthday.
So thank you, my daughter.
I like it. Looks good.
If you need a Christmas tie, you know where to come to.
Okay, I'm just glad we didn't match our ties. I stayed away from that this week.
We did that last week in Detroit. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who gets out of the AFC?
Man, wow. I mean, I like where Pittsburgh's at. You get AB back, and the balance that they have. I think they got a real shot to come out of the AFC this year.
They'd have to go to New England and win, but remember, New England could play Kansas City, Pittsburgh could play Jacksonville. Those are teams they played in the regular season, and the teams that would be on the road, if the 1, 2, 3, and 4 hold up, they won against those teams this year. So we'll see what happens. And as I said before, credit to all these Steeler fans around the country. A fan base that built up in the 70s and the 80s around the country with the greatness of the Steelers. They show up in great numbers. Terrible towels filling the bottom deck of this stadium as the Pittsburgh Steelers have won another road game. Mike Tomlin has 115 wins. Ben Roethlisberger ties Hines Ward for the most victories by any Steeler, 136 in the regular season. And New England and Pittsburgh will have the first weekend of the playoffs off. We'll find out after next week who's the 1, who's the 2 seed, but they will share that spot. The 3 will be Jacksonville, the 4 will be Kansas City. 2 spots left in the AFC playoffs. Final score tonight, 34-6.